So how will you structure the portfolio to really capture this opportunity?
Yeah, so what we've done, sort of taking a zoom out, and this is the way we think it'll play out over the next sort of 20, 30 years. We actually think, as I talked about with those sort of various diversified areas of tailwinds for growth across those numerous sectors, we do sort of broadly split it into sort of four thematics within climate. And then at any one time, we might be more weighted to some than others, and I can explain that as well. But basically, we're splitting at 25% apiece, sort of strategically over time, between clean energy, which is again about 20% of the spend, clean transport, another 25%, circular economy, another 25%, and 25% to energy efficiency, to sort of broadly match that sort of total addressable market spending of $50 trillion and the pie that we think that represents.
And so some of the tailwinds that are coming more recently is through energy efficiency. Can you go into a little bit more detail on that sub area of interest?
Yeah, so we do like energy efficiency at the moment, more so than the other sort of three segments, particularly the EV segment and the clean transport segment. We're actually out of at the moment. And so we've actually taken the capital from that area, that 25% sort of quote unquote strategic sort of spending that we expect. We don't think that looks as attractive in the short to medium term today as we look out. We actually prefer the energy efficiency side. The reason for that is basically because that's where we see the dollars hitting today. And so we think that the easiest way for these corporates to decarbonise and reach their net zero targets is not from basically making their operations more efficient out there in the field, because let's face it, electric trucks don't exist today. Hydrogen-powered ships don't exist today. So it's hard for some of these areas to be decarbonised. The quickest thing and the most effective thing they can do today to meet their sort of targets and their interim targets is actually decarbonise their offices, like this one today. That's the sort of thing that can quickly get improved. So that's retrofitting them for better lighting, heating and cooling, etc. The other big tailwind at the moment is the data centre. So that's growing very, very quickly because of digitisation, basically. And so there's a lot of data centre being put in, a lot of data centre capacity being put in, and basically finding the companies that effectively play into that to help decarbonise that data centre. We think they've got a good tailwind for this as well.
And so what are some examples of that?
Yeah, on the energy efficiency side, so it's companies that help decarbonise the office or other buildings. So it's companies like the heating, ventilation and air conditioning companies, of which there's half a dozen in the world. It's companies that are involved in insulation, so improving the energy rating of buildings. And also within the data centre, it's companies, similar type of companies that play into sort of that power side of things. In terms of data centres are very energy intensive, and so anything that can be done to improve the efficiency of the data centre, like the cooling, it's those type of companies as well. And so it's really those old school industrial companies which previously maybe grew at GDP, now actually grow faster because of this faster renovation cycle of buildings, driven by the governments and also the corporates as well as the data centre, the companies that play into the data centre, so the heating and cooling companies in particular in that case.